Ladies and gentlemen, it's playoff time. Welcome to PX1 Sports' presentation of PX1 playoffs. Tonight, the first game of a doubleheader, Wood Small 12, Seattle Seahawks taking on Nighthawk TH32, St. Louis Rams, a battle of 11 and 5 teams alongside Mike Peters. I'm your play-by-play commentator, Cameron Irvine, for this evening. Mike, it took us a while, but we're finally all ready to go.
Yeah, we had some audio issues. We apologize for that, but we think we got them hammered out, and we're ready to go. Should be an exciting game. Two guys that were battling for first place in the NFC West. Came down to the last game of the season. Rams wound up taking it, and now they're squaring off again here to see who moves on in the playoffs.
The two split the season series. It's the rubber match, and we're just about ready to get started.
They are getting out to the field. We're loading up, so let's take you down and see how we go.
It's Seattle and St. Louis, a battle of 11 and 5 teams. Alongside Mike Peters, I am Cameron Irvine, and we are just about ready to get set. Our first PX1 Playoffs live commentary play-by-play broadcast is underway. From 4 yards deep in the end zone, Seattle will bring it out past the 10, up to about the 19-yard line, and that's where Seattle is sat down, and Russell Wilson will make his first appearance of the night.
Well, Russell Wilson was kind of very mediocre through the regular season. Had an 81.1 QB rating, only ran for 1 yard on the season, wasn't a threat at all to run the ball. So it's going to be interesting to see here what Small's able to do with him, and if they're able to get him going, get him in a rhythm, and maybe threaten with his legs a little bit to kind of open up the defense.
Let us know how we sound, everybody out there. Make sure you're keeping engaged with us so that we give you the best experience possible. 1st and 10 for the 19. Tight end goes in motion. Lynch is going to take the handoff behind a blocker, break a couple of tackles, and get out to the 25-yard line. Good start for Marshawn Lynch, who averaged just 4 yards a carry this regular season.
He did. Only 4 yards a carry, so it's going to be important to get him going. You definitely don't like that he only got the 4 yards carry. I talked to Wood Small earlier in the day, and he said that he was having a tough time getting going, the running game going all year. So that's definitely something he wants to get going in this game, to establish the run game and kind of take some of that pressure off of everything being on Russell Wilson's shoulders.
2nd and 4, the 25. St. Louis in the blue helmets, blue jerseys, white pants at home. Seattle in the blue helmets, white jerseys, white pants on the road. 2nd and 4 for the left hash mark, and a man goes in motion from right to left, far side to or long side to short side, and the handoff is going to go for a few. That is Chris Johnson on the carry. Going to bring up a 3rd and 2.
Well, interestingly, already on the second play of the game, they're getting Chris Johnson involved, and I don't know if he thinks that maybe trying to get him involved and get him some carries, relieve some of the pressure on Lynch, or maybe getting some of that speed going, switch it up a little bit. Interesting second play of the game, Chris Johnson's already in, so that will be something to watch as the game progresses and see how much he uses Chris Johnson as we go along.
Salvador and Guy 940, make sure to tweet us out, will you, and spread the word. 3rd down and 2. Appreciate the comments. Seattle trying to get their first down of the game. Marshawn Lynch behind some blockers, fighting for a 1st down, and I believe he just did squeeze it. It is a 1st down for Seattle, just by the skin of their teeth. They will keep the drive alive.
Well, that's one of those things that you pay Marshawn Lynch for. That's the exact kind of plays that you want him in your lineup for. Is he's able to push through, just that extra leg drive right there, gets in that extra half yard he needed to get the 1st down. They pick it up, get a new set of downs here. They're moving down the field, looking good early on with the running game. So we'll see how the Rams adapt as we go along and what changes they're able to make to try to shut down the running game.
3 straight runs to start for Seattle. If you're just popping in, we're just getting underway. First game of a doubleheader here. It's playoff action in PX1 Sports as you see Baldwin out to the left side. Wilson back to pass for the first time tonight. Fires it over the middle of the field. That pass is caught by Jimmy Graham. He was their leading receiver this regular season, and at least one Seattle coach knows how to get the tight end involved.
Well, Laurinaitis had a quick break on that ball. I actually thought he might have came away with the interception. He was just a step slow on that one. A little bit late getting the ball off there for Wilson. Like to see him get that pass off a little bit quicker. Almost turned into an interception, but he was able to complete it, pick up 5 yards, and now we'll see if they go back to the run game.
2nd down, 5 at the 34-yard line. St. Louis comes out with 4 defensive linemen. Trips to the right-hand side. Ball closer to the right hash. Kirsch to the left. And Wilson adjusting the plays with 7:20 to go in the first quarter. Back to pass Wilson. He fires right side. That pass is caught. That's a 1st down out to the 43-yard line. And that's Doug Baldwin's first grab of the day. Wilson off to a hot start.
He is, and I like what Small's doing here. He started off with the run, even mixed in some Chris Johnson, kind of giving him a different look. Now he's coming out, passes 2 times in a row to pick up the first down. And their short control passes, just moving the ball, giving Nighthawk a lot of things to think about early on. So definitely like to start for the Seahawks. Nighthawk's going to be pressed to try to come up with something to shut them down as we go along.
3 minutes into the first quarter, Seahawks are surprisingly 28th in rushing, 15th in passing this season. They have a first down on the right hash just past the 40. Lynch is going to take a carry. Lynch has some room, spins off a tackle, and again gets about 7. And Marshawn Lynch looks really good out there here on the opening drive. Positive signs for the Seahawks.
It is, and I actually thought he had some room to the outside, although Lynch isn't real fast, so maybe he didn't want to try to run it outside. But he goes up the middle, he pushes forward, and he picks up a gain of 5. And again, they're just keep moving the ball. If Seattle can keep moving the ball at 4 or 5 yards a clip the entire game, they're going to be in good shape.
6:12 to go in the first quarter. Ball now on the 46. Seattle trying to be the first team tonight to cross the midfield stripe. Baldwin to the left, Kirst to the right along with Graham. And back to pass is Wilson, has some time. Fires, caught by Graham inside the 40 down to the 39. Jimmy Graham's second catch of the day, and Russell Wilson stays perfect.
It's interesting, like you said, second catch of the game for Graham. Is Woodsmall kind of setting him up here, kind of looking like, hey, I got to focus on Graham. We know he's going to be a big part of their offense, led the team in receptions. Is he going to him early and often here early on to get the defense start focusing on him, and then maybe take a shot outside with one of your wide receivers? That's something to watch as we go along as well.
A drive that's taken up almost half the quarter to the Ram 39-yard line, down to 10 on the play clock. A very solid opening drive to these wild card playoffs, as they will go counter to Chris Johnson, and Johnson is going to be corralled around the line of scrimmage, and a good job there by the Rams. Their best defensive play of the night so far.
It was, and interesting. I actually like the way this was going here. Is it looked like it was going to be a toss crack. The wide receivers coming in, the defense kind of shifted that side, was expecting something to the strong side. Actually ran it to the weak side on a counter. Fortunately, it didn't work out for them. The Rams played it very well, but a lot of cat and mouse going on early on in this game.
3 receivers all to the left. Baldwin, Matthews, and Curse. Wilson out of the gun and back to pass. Lynch goes out to the right side, fires over the middle. That pass is caught, and a good run after the catch there all the way down to the 19-yard line. That is Chris Matthews with his first grab. What a drive for Wilson. 44 of the 59 yards on the drive.
Yeah, that was a nice run by Matthews. He ran a little cross across the middle. It looked like maybe a deep in, and he was able to make the grab, and then he just kind of like the seas parted for him a little bit. He was able to fight off a little bit of traffic there in the middle and get a lot of yards after the catch. And that's going to be key too. Obviously the short passes are nice early on, but getting yards after the catch is important for any team. And if he and some of these other receivers keep doing that, it's going to bode well for the Seahawks.
Seattle could not have asked for a better starting drive, as Marshawn Lynch tried to get through, but eventually ran over some blockers in his tackle to the 18, a gain of 3. Seattle's in the red zone.
Well, back to Marshawn we go. Mix it up a little bit, throw the passes in. Now you go back to Marshawn. Definitely a great job of keeping keeping the defense on their toes. Like, I have no idea what's going, and we're seeing the play calls coming. So, I like what Small's doing here. He's mixing it up. I'm sure Nighthawk's probably sitting on the other end having a hard time getting a feel for what's going on. And I think as an offense, that's exactly what you want to do to the defense.
And that's what you want to do with a struggling running back. You want to get him a lot of carries early and get your confidence up.
Absolutely.
So 2nd and 8 now at the 18. I guess you call that last gain about 2.5. 4 spread outside. That's Graham and Curse on the right. Baldwin to the left. Back to pass. Wilson in trouble, and Wilson is sacked to the 26-yard line. A nice play by James Laurinaitis on the sack. 3rd and 16, a loss of 8.
Well, Laurinaitis, he almost came up that interception. Was a step slow. Was not a step slow on that play. Blitz up the middle. Nighthawk's been blitzing a little bit, and he called the play with 2 wheel routes outside, which is a slower developing play. And it was good timing for St. Louis. They brought the blitz at the right time. Laurinaitis is able to squeak through and get the sack, and brings up a very crucial long 3rd and 16.
This would be huge for St. Louis to get a stop on 3rd down and 16. Following this tremendous drive that's lasted over 7 minutes. Wilson back to throw. He's in trouble again and nearly taken out of field goal range. just by the hair. Wilson very lucky to get that ball away, and what a stand by the Rams.
Looks like Aaron Donald got through there and got the pressure, under deep route, and, that's something that, is going to happen. On 3rd and 16s, you have to get something that's slower developed unless you're going to run some kind of screen pass. So the defensive line steps up, bend but don't break, only allowed the 3 points, and I think you have to be happy with the way it ended there for St. Louis.
This a 43-yard field goal. That kick is up and good. 2:38 to go in the first quarter. Seattle 3, St. Louis nothing. After a long drive and a successful drive at that for Seattle, they end up with only 3. Everyone has their own opinion. That's a huge victory for the Rams.
I think it is, for sure. Now it's going to be on the offense back and try to get some momentum of their own going.
So St. Louis returns, but only up to the 21-yard line. And we'll get our first look at Nick Foles. 3,329 passing yards this season, 21 touchdowns. It was just the 27th best passing offense this season.
Yeah, they struggled to move the ball a little bit. And, one thing I noticed when I was looking at the games, Tavon Austin only had 5 receptions this year. He was running back that kick, but they haven't really got him involved at all in the offense. That's something that I'd like to see them try to do, is because he's a dangerous playmaker, and you make the defense think when you got somebody with that kind of speed out there. And they haven't used him a whole lot. We'll see if they're able to get him involved tonight.
4 down lineman for the Seahawks, and Nick Foles comes under center. Todd Gurley is the running back in the backfield wearing number 30. Ball on the right hash, and Foles is calling out signals, and he will hand it off. Gurley's got a big lane, got 4 yards before he's touchdown, but Seattle does a good job in closing on that.
Well, that's one thing that you're going to see from Seattle. They're gonna not going to really blitz a whole lot up the middle and make a lot of stops behind the line of scrimmage, but they're not going to let you get far once you get to the line of scrimmage. They're going to swarm to the ball. They're going to make tackles. They're going to try to keep everything in front of them. It's basically the same thing that you saw there. That's what we're going to see all night. It's going to be up to Nighthawk and the St. Louis coaching staff to try to figure out how they can get their guys open and make plays.
So 2nd and 7 on the 24 following Gurley's first run. 2 receivers out to the left side. St. Louis on their opening possession. And Foles will drop back to throw for the first time. Fires it left side on a crossing route. That's Tavon Austin with the catch, I believe. Or nope, I was sadly mistaken there on that play, and it's going to be 3rd down and inches.
It did look like
it did.
I hear you on that one. And that's a good play right there. It's a little drag route, going to keep it underneath. You're probably not going to beat them deep with the corners that they got, so you just get a few yards, get up a crucial 3rd and inches. Now it'll be up to Gurley to see if he can pick it up.
2 in the backfield for Foles. 3rd and inches, 1:18 to play in the first, and he tried to run it to Gurley, and Seattle read the play. A nice job by the Seahawk defense. That's a loss of 2, and Bobby Wagner and company there to make the stop.
Hey, Gurley, 1,600 yards on the 1,645 yards rushing on the season, 15 touchdowns, but not able to get it done there. And that's one of the difference between Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch didn't have as good a season, but he's one of those guys you can count on in that situation. Gurley, not so much yet.
So St. Louis will punt it away, and Tyler Lockett is standing at his 15 and past the 25. Lockett, a lot of room to return, gets smashed at the 28-yard line. Gain of 13 on the return, had some decent room, but Lockett still needs to hit the gym before he can break that tackle.
Yeah, that was a big hit coming down, and a bunch of big boys swarming after him. So now St. Louis, they had a good stop to the end of the last drive. Now it's going to be crucial for them to get some momentum early on in this drive and not allow them to take more time off the clock.
Wilson on the left hash. He'll run a counter to Marshawn Lynch. He's got a lot of space outside, and beast mode nearly picks up the first down. 9-yard gain, 5 carries, 24 yards. Marshawn Lynch has eaten his Skittles this evening.
Wow, you totally threw me off with that one. That was a good one. You threw that in there. I like what Woodsmall's doing here is he came out again with a 3 tight end set. He stacked them wide to the right. He got the defense thinking about it, ran a corner to the other side, completely had the defense off kilter, got a 9-yard run, and that's going to take us to the end of the first quarter.
So that's the end of the first quarter, and Mike, why don't you tell everyone what's coming up next here in the doubleheader?
Well, coming up after this one, if you guys don't know already, we got game 2. We got the Jets and the Titans. The Jets, who finished 2nd in the AFC East against Georgia Fan and his AFC South champion Titans. So that would be a good one. That one will be following this one immediately, so make sure to tune in for that one.
Start of the second quarter, 2nd down and 1 from St. Louis. It's the wild card weekend here at PX1 Sports. Back to pass is Wilson's got a lot of time. Fires to a wide open Jimmy Graham. That's his 3rd catch. Spin move by Jimmy Graham. Past the 40. Jimmy Graham in a foot race. 15. And and dragged down at the 3. What a touchdown-saving tackle, but what a move by Jimmy Graham. Spin cycle.
Wow, Jimmy Graham's coming up big early on in this game. He got the corner route out to him. He was wide open, had one guy to beat. He made the spin move, got inside on him. I thought he was gone. The speed of the St. Louis defense was able to catch him, but a big play there for Seattle.
Down to the 3 after a long and steady 7+ minute drive. A big play to Jimmy Graham. Marshawn Lynch is going to follow blockers, spin off a tackle, but a good job by St. Louis holding him out. It's 2nd and goal. Can St. Louis come up with yet another stand?
I think this is part of the thing that was bothering the Seattle running game most of the season is these short yards near the goal line. The defense knows what's coming, and they're able to stack up on it. Early on in the drives, they're able to kind of mix it up and keep it. But down here, they're having a hard time getting it in, so they're definitely going to need to try to figure out a way to punch these in if they get more of these goal line situations.
2nd down and goal. Graham has a few catches already in this game, none bigger than that one to start the drive. He's on the left side of the line. They're going to hand it off to Lynch, cuts back middle, and Lynch could not get in, down to the 1. Now 26 yards on 7 carries. That tackle made by Long. It's 3rd down again.
I thought Lynch was going to get in there. It looked like he had a little space, and Chris came out of nowhere to make a tackle there. Holds him to a 3rd and goal. Now, this is one of the things with the St. Louis defense. They have a really good defensive line. They got some good linebackers. It's hard to make plays on them, and they were moving the ball good on the first drive. This is the St. Louis defense that you expect to see.
3rd down and goal now. What are they going to do? Lynch out of the eye. Ooh, St. Louis almost jumped offside. They go to the fullback, and that's a touchdown, Seattle. The first touchdown of the wild card doubleheader here on PX1. It's 9-0.
Derek Coleman, they switch it up. They go to Marshawn a couple of times. Finally, they're like, okay, let's switch it up, go to Derek Coleman. Derek Coleman, one of those guys that they featured not too long ago. I believe he's deaf in one or both ears. So interesting story. He gets the playoff touchdown here, and Seattle's up 10-0.
So a 4-play drive, that one much quicker than the first, and St. Louis it's almost like their offense hasn't even been on the field, and they're down by 10 already.
3 plays.
So from 5 yards deep, Tavon Austin, the speedster, out past the 20, and he's going to, oh boy, Tavon Austin, protect your face, down at the 22-yard line. He tried to pull a Jimmy Graham, and it didn't work out for him.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, he's trying to pull his best Jimmy Graham impersonation. Now, what I'd like to see them do is not just use him on kick returns here. Let's see him line up in the slot, use that speed, try to stretch the defense, open some room for Gurley and the other guys, and see what happens.
So 1st down here for St. Louis. Nick Foles at quarterback there. You see Averill on the left side of that defensive line. And Gurley's in the backfield, and it's going to be a play action to start the drive. Foles off his back foot. Horrible pass. That pass is picked off and returned the other way. 20, 15, and breaking tackles down to the 10. It's a 1st down for the Seahawks with a pick by Earl Thomas III.
Well, Earl Thomas only had 2 interceptions on the season. He's one of the leaders of the Legion of Boom. Him and Cam Chancellor set the pace back there. But if you throw it right to him, he's going to come down with it. He didn't get a lot of opportunities in the regular season. That one was a duck. It went right to him. He was able to come up with the grab. Makes the interception, returns it down to the 10, and here Seattle is again threatening to go up big early on.
Nick Foles looked like he was maybe panicking a bit that he hadn't been on the field yet so far in this half and that he had to make a big play. Certainly not what he had in mind. Marshawn Lynch inside the 5 and gets 6 on his 8th carry. It's 2nd and goal inside the 5 again.
I think that's a good point talking about Foles. They hadn't done much. He's fallen behind 10-0 already. He's maybe trying to make a play, wasn't able to get it. Marshawn here, right back to where we started. They threw up a changeup with bringing Coleman, so now you kind of wonder what's going on. Let's see if they keep going to Marshawn or if they switch it up.
Seattle leads in total yards 131-9. The handoff to Lynch, and he bounces off a tackle, and beast mode, give me some Skittles at 16-0.
I think that was Nick Fairley that tried to just bear hug him and push him, and it didn't really work out so well. That's not the guy you want to just kind of pop and try to take the ground. Marshawn bunches off, gets in the end zone. Here early on, in the second quarter, 17-0 lead for Seattle. Now the question is what does St. Louis do? Are they going to panic and try to force things like it looked like they did on the last play, or can Nighthawk kind of settle down, get his guys in order, and make a few plays, just get some points on the board and get himself back in the game?
Seattle tasting the touchdowns here in the second quarter, 2, in the past 4 minutes as Tavon Austin tries to get away from pressure, still on his feet out to the 24-yard line, but St. Louis just needs to relax, plenty of time left in this game, and get back into their offense.
Yeah, that's one thing, for young players out there, if you play online at all in Madden, you see guys that get behind early on and they quit. you have to give yourself a chance. You never know what's going to happen. You could get a turnover, you could get a big play, and things could change. You just got to go out there. You got to keep playing. You got to see what happens, and just be patient.
So Foles out of the shotgun after throwing a pick on the last possession, and Todd Gurley gets smacked down near the line of scrimmage. Now 3 carries for 3 yards, and looking at the stats coming into the game, if we were looking at Gurley or Lynch being the bigger factor, it's certainly been the opposite of the expectation.
Yeah, you would think with the season that Gurley had that he would be the guy that would come out and they'd kind of focus on him. But, even though he did face Seattle twice this year, I don't know if they ever got their best punch. They're definitely bringing in this game. Earl Thomas, the big pick on the last drive, comes up right away. He's in the box. He makes the tackle on the first play here. These guys are amped up, and they're ready to go. St. Louis is really going to have to get creative to move the ball in this game.
2nd down, 9. Crowd's got to help out the team as well. Down to 7 on the play clock, and a play action for Foles. He flips it outside. That pass is caught, and that catch is to Jared Cook, the tight end. And that's his first catch of the game, and he was their leading receiver as well this season.
First catch of the game, but he did lead the team with 57 catches, 869 yards. He had a lot of yards for the catches that he had. Only 5 touchdowns, but he is a big part of their offense. They finally got him involved. They're probably going to need to do that more as the game progresses. Keep moving the ball.
Stedman, Bailey, Brian Quick, and Kenny Britt, other receivers for the Rams. Gurley's going to take a toss to the outside left. Gurley's got some space and tried to get the first down, got about 9. It's going to bring up 2nd down and 1, but at least the Rams are on the Seahawks side of the field here.
Mixing it up a little bit more. They go with the toss play there. They had been kind of running it up the middle, figured out that wasn't going to work really well against Bobby Wagner and company. So now they're trying to go outside. They run the corner or outside, the sweep outside, or the toss. So now they're just trying to a little bit more diverse and move the ball, and it's working out for them. They're going to have to keep doing that the whole game if they want to be successful.
Halfway through the 2nd quarter, alongside Mike Peters, I am your play-by-play commentator, Cameron Irvine. 4 on the line. Check that for the Seahawks as St. Louis tries to keep the drive alive. Foles 3-step back and fires down the middle, and boy, I could see it from here, trying to hit the slant pattern over the middle, and Seattle, had everyone there waiting for it.
Well, I think it was a predictable play, and you're probably not going to want to run it again now on 3rd down, so you kind of wasted your bullet there. I would have probably preferred they maybe take a shot down the field. On 2nd and 1, you come back with you got a running play, you can run a slant there. A little too conservative there, but we'll see what they're able to do here on 3rd and 1.
3rd down and 1, good call there. Wagner in the middle of that Seahawk defense, out of the eye. They're going to try the fullback, and Wagner knew it, and I don't think he got the first down. It's 4th down and 1, and Seattle just is 1 step ahead right now.
They are. They are kind of 1 step ahead. They're kind of seeing everything and reading it. Now it's going to be interesting here to see if Nighthawk goes for it. It looks like he chose the punt. Situation where he would be able to go to it, although the way they're having struggle moving the ball, I don't know if I would go for it there. You don't want to give Seattle the ball at the midfield. So he's going to punt it away, and their defense is going to have to come up with a big stop here.
Yeah, Seattle only 1 time in this first half has had to go the length of the field, and they ended up getting just 3 points. Oh, they're going to fake the punt, and the punter's going to throw for it, and he's going to overshoot his man, and Seattle's going to take over near midfield. A risk that does not pay off for the Rams. And I can't say that was a horrible play.
No.
It certainly took us by surprise, but punter just could not get it done there in that situation.
No, I kind of like that play. I mean, the Rams are that kind of team in real life, and they took a page on the Rams playbook. They almost had it, just a poor throw, and not able to convert.
So Seattle has all the momentum right now, and the handoff goes to Chris Johnson. Nice job by the Rams. They were ready for the run there. No gain on the play. We'll bring up 2nd down and 10, and now they have to rely on their defense to keep it close here.
They are. That's one of the things. If your offense can't get going, you put a whole lot of pressure on your defense. We have that long drive early on that could wear them down a little bit. They got to get these guys off the field. Otherwise, you get in the 3rd and 4th quarter, they're really going to be in trouble.
So Wilson is under center. He's going to go play action and roll out to the right. Wilson fire. He just wasn't set on that play, and that's going to bring up a 3rd down and 10.
And he's able to throw on the run pretty well. That one, he didn't really get his feet under him and make a good throw, but he's able to complete that. Just not a good throw there. One thing I'm noticing here is the Rams are bringing a lot of man blitzes, and I don't know what the strategy is there, but I think that's a real all or nothing kind of thing, and that's probably why we've seen some big plays already. I'd like to see them play a little bit more zone. They got players that can play in that kind of defense. Maybe not quite take so many chances and see if you can get an interception or something.
3rd and 10, they're going to run it to Marshawn Lynch, and he didn't get anything. Rams were not fooled on that. Not quite sure on that, but at the same time, it's 17-0. The Rams can't move the ball. Why not give them a shot there?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. It's 3rd and 10. Maybe he hears us talking about throwing an interception, and he's like, I don't want to do that. So, you just try to run it, see if you can catch him off guard, and then you're going to punt it. You're going to pin him deep here. You're going to get good field position more than likely. So I don't have a problem with that play call at all. I actually think that's a pretty good play call.
Down to 3:08 to go in the first half. A 17-0 early lead for Seattle. Not going to pin him as deep as they wanted to. Tavon Austin picks up a couple of blocks and ran into his own guy. Smacked down like a cat trying to get out of a closed door, and it's 1st and 10 of the 19.
Is it just me, or do you feel like Tavon Austin's going to break something in this game? He seems like he's a cat trapped in something, and eventually he's just going to break loose and go crazy.
His own guys keep getting in his way, honestly.
That's true. If he can figure out how to get them out of it, I feel like Tavon Austin's going to have a big play at some point in this game.
Move the big hog mollies back to the sideline. Foles out of the shotgun, 1st and 10 with 3 minutes to go in the first half. 17-0 Seahawks. Back to pass Foles. Hits a man to the outside. Nice ankle tackle made by, I believe, Cam Chancellor. Pass caught by Stedman Bailey, and it's 2nd and 2.
Well, you're using the inside receiver to kind of just get a little drag, trying to pick up a few yards, see if you can make something happen. They do there, but that's one of the things, like we talked about earlier, Seattle's going to keep it in front of you. They're not going to let you get a big play. They're going to make the tackle, and, they'll try to stop you here. If not, they'll reset and do it next round.
Down to 2:25 to go in the first half. St. Louis looking for some sort of positive momentum here at home. Both teams 11-5 coming into the game. Back to pass Foles. He fires, and that pass is cut off. And we've seen that sort of short route to the outside a lot here from the Rams, and Seattle read that play.
Yeah, I think they're trying to mix it up. They were having a little bit of success working it to the outside on the one drive earlier. I think they're trying to do it. They think they might have an advantage there, but that's the thing with the Seattle defense is if you do anything too many times, they're going to catch on and they're going to adjust to it. So I don't have a problem with them going to the outside. They got to mix it up a little bit more. They can't go to the well too often, otherwise they're going to wind up with another interception.
3rd down and 2. Quick, who's been quiet, is to the outside. There's one safety back there as Foles is going to take a shot, but Foles is going to overshoot Quick. And it seems like every time St. Louis has a chance to exploit Seattle in a weakness, they just are not connecting at all.
Well, they didn't. That was great coverage on the outside. I don't know if he was going to complete that, even if he got a good throw off. But I don't taking a shot there. I don't know if it was the right read, but at least you give him credit for trying to open it up a little bit.
Lockett with a return past the 40 midfield. Lockett inside St. Louis territory, and boy, between Lockett, Graham, and Seattle's explosiveness on defense, they're just the ones making the plays right now. That's just plain and simple.
Well, that's one thing you don't want to see is the special teams getting going. You're already having trouble stopping their offense. Their defense is suffocating you. If their special teams is able to get yards, you're really in a lot of trouble.
So 1st down and 10 here for Seattle, trying to add to their lead. Both teams have 3 timeouts. Lynch takes the handoff, and Lynch gets away again, and Lynch picks up 8 yards. And St. Louis is they're in the right position, but you can see the frustration of the defense sort of going for that knockout punch, and they're giving up yards here.
Yeah, Laurinaitis just took a bad angle there. He had the right idea. He was trying to swarm out there and get out there. He just had a bad angle, and Marshawn was able to spin inside and pick up yards.
Back to pass Wilson. Wilson's got time. Fires at the outside. Beautiful route there. That's Curse with the catch to the 23. And Seattle has plenty of time here to put points on the board.
Oh, they do. It's a minute and a half left. They still have all their timeouts. They're in no panic here. They only got 23 yards to go. The worst case, you would think they come away with the field goal. Great shape here for Seattle.
So down to 1:13 to go in the half. 17-0 Seahawks. Back to pass Wilson. Fires to Lynch out of the backfield. Lynch with a spin down to the 11-yard line. That's a 12-yard gain. 7 of 9 for Russell Wilson. But now Lynch is free out of the backfield.
Well, and I think the thing that you said just a little bit ago is that it seems like Seattle's just a step ahead on everything, and you see that there. Lynch just a step quicker in making his cut, making the spin inside, picks up the extra yards, gets the first down. Seattle's going to have to go into halftime and regroup here and come out with a different game plan.
Out of the gun for Wilson, and he'll hand it off to Lynch inside the 10. Nice tackle there for the Rams, and that's going to bring up a 2nd and 7 and the first time out for the Seahawks.
And, I don't have a problem with them running there. You actually want to take some of this time off the clock. Even though St. Louis has had trouble getting their offense going, you don't want to give them too much time. Try to put some time on the board. So if you can get a field goal or even a touchdown, inside of 20 seconds, that's probably what you're trying to do. I don't hate that play there.
So 2nd down and 7. Seattle trying to figure out exactly what they can do in this situation. Titans and Jets coming up next, and it's an interesting matchup because while the Titans could be considered the underdog, they already got a victory. on the Jets.
They did. They
beat
them a couple weeks ago, so that one's going to be an interesting game, coming up following it. Hopefully this game's not done yet. St. Louis switches it up and is able to come back in this one.
2nd down, 7 for Wilson. Takes a 5-step drop, then surveys the field, finds Lynch, and Lynch gets into the end zone. It's 23-0. The Road Warriors. Seattle is putting it on the Rams right now.
Yeah, this is a huge start. I don't know if anybody could predicted that Seattle would come out as dominant as they were. They left a little bit more time on the clock than they probably would have liked. But when you're going to get the touchdown, you go up 24-0. I don't think you're really too much worried about it. Worst case scenario, you're only up by 17. And if you tell them before the game they're going to be up by 17 or 24 at the half, they're probably going to be like, hey, cool, we're down with that.
I'd love to see the time of possession and the play count right now, because it's got to be extremely lopsided. I mean, it's hard to get in a rhythm when you're just not on the field.
I think St. Louis has only run 7 or 8. It hasn't been many.
It's close. On the return, the Rams up past the 20, looking for some space, had it, and the gap quickly closed at the 24-yard line. Again, another missed opportunity for St. Louis there.
Well, it was interesting that they took Tavon Austin out. He wasn't returning that kick. I would like to see him try to hit that hole and see if he could get through and do something. But now they're going to come out, and we'll see if they try to get something going here with 33 seconds left to get some points on the board.
You can't too big of a risk. You don't want to throw another pick. That pass is caught, though. Nice play there from Nick Foles, down to 26 seconds and a timeout. And that's Bailey again with his 2nd grab of the half.
Yeah, Bailey's been one of those guys that's been their leading receiver all year. He had 43 receptions, which was the highest among wide receivers, so he is the guy that they like to go to. They like to get him in the slot, kind of use him like an Edelman with St. Louis. He's going to be important. Now they got him lined up on the outside.
Foles back to pass. Has time, steps up in the pocket, going to run for it. Foles slides smartly, got about 9, and they need to burn a timeout. Do. Good play there to get them to the Seahawk 46.
Well, we saw him slide there, and we saw the game earlier in the playoff game.
Yes.
San Diego and Cincinnati. Phillip Rivers didn't slide, wound up getting hit, fumbles the ball, and cost them an opportunity at the end of that game. So good job there. At least he gets down. Great coaching point for younger players out there. Slide with your quarterback. Don't take those hits. Don't want to turn the ball over.
Especially after running 20 yards. I think they're a little tired.
Absolutely.
So Foles out of the shotgun with 20 seconds left. Back to pass. Looking deep down the field. One-on-one coverage. That pass is incomplete. Going for it all to Bailey. And that leaves 15 seconds left on 3rd down.
I don't, it was a good shot. I think that was what they were trying to do on that play before he just overthrew it. That was a better pass there. But these defenders all around on Seattle, is going to be hard to complete those passes. You're really going to have to get them beat. I guess you can take those shots there. But if they're not wide open or they don't look like they have a step on them, I would say try to find something underneath.
If I'm St. Louis right now, I'm trying to get into field goal range to get some points. I'm going to get the ball to start the 2nd half. That pass is caught at the 30 or 31-yard line, and that's exactly what the Rams did there. Britt with his 2nd catch of the night. They're going to call a timeout, get some points on the board, get the ball to start the 2nd half. That's good strategy right there.
Yeah, it's not ideal to go into the halftime down 21, but you do have to come away with some kind of momentum. 3 points is 3 points. Get the points on the board, get some momentum, and try to regroup at half.
Field goal is good, just over the crossbar, and that is the end of the 1st half. Seattle 24, St. Louis 3. And so far, it's been cut and dry. I don't know if you would agree with this, Mike, but the play of that 1st half was Nick Foles throwing that interception down just 10. He just didn't need to do that.
No, he didn't. He kind of panicked. He threw it, and that changed the whole complexion of the game. They had an opportunity to stay in the game, and that kind of took them out of it. Now they're getting the ball here early in the 2nd half. They got an opportunity to try to get back in this game.
Again, Austin was up to block, and the return is up to just the 24-yard line. So St. Louis looking for some momentum. They got just shy of 100 yards of offense in the 1st half, and haven't heard much from Cook or Quick for that matter. Gurley doesn't have a catch either, and frankly, he doesn't have anything.
No, he hasn't done a whole lot, and it's down 21. You're not going to go to your running game a whole lot. Probably use him some on this just to try to show the threat of it, but somebody's going to have to get open and get a big play.
Seattle showing a blitz. Gurley cuts it back to the right side, gets his legs bent backwards, but a nice run by Gurley away from the blitz. 9 yards. It's more yards than he had in the entire 1st half.
And he almost took that a long way. He had Earl Thomas to beat, and that was it. There was nothing but open seas for him. But Earl Thomas makes the tackle, holds him. But still a good run. 9 yards. Coming away with 9 yards, you got to be happy with that. You just got to keep plugging away. Keep plugging away. You got to try to get a touchdown on the board, cut this lead to 14.
Plenty of time left. Bailey and Quick out to the left side, and Seattle's got 7 in the box and creeping in just a bit as St. Louis shifts their formation to a trips right. They're going to hand it off to Gurley. Gurley's going to break a tackle tackle, and Gurley's going to break another down to the 40-yard line. That's a first down, and Gurley up to 27 yards. A monster run there from Todd.
Yeah, it was a great run. He actually fought for yards like we see Marshawn Lynch do. It's one of the things. He's a bigger back, and he's capable of breaking plays. He was able to do one there, pick up some extra yards, and St. Louis is getting some momentum going. They just got to keep it up.
So Foles will go under center now, a similar formation than the previous play. Back to pass Foles. Foles looking around, fires. That pass is caught, and I believe that is Cook on the outside again. First down to the 47 of Seattle. This is by far the best drive of the night for the Rams.
Yeah, and you gotta mix it in inside outside. They had some success with the outside, then they try to go to it too much. Earl Thomas almost had the interception. Now they go with a couple inside runs, then try to go back outside, mixing it up a little bit better. That's what you're gonna have to do. You gotta try to keep them off balance, kind of like Seattle did to them in the first couple drives.
20 plays for the Rams tonight, 8 runs, 12 passes. So there's the answer to half of my question from earlier. Back to pass Foles, trying to set up a screen, fires. Gurley's got an open receiver or an open lane to run through, but a nice tackle by Thomas behind him, picks up just 4.
Earl Thomas is everywhere. He is ready to go in this game. He's already got the interception, almost had another one. He's had a couple of big tackles. You got to stay away from Earl Thomas. At this point, you might almost want to take your chances with Cam Chancellor. That's not a significantly better option, but Earl Thomas is showing right now he's jazzed up and he's ready to go in this game.
Maybe they'll catch Cam Chancellor arguing over a contract, and he'll give up a touchdown.
Ooh, shot below the belt there.
Second down and 6 into Seahawk territory. The handoff goes to Gurley. Great block. And Todd Gurley gets a second-level block, and he's gone. It's a touchdown, Rams.
Well, that's what they needed right there. That was kind of weird, too, because the offensive line just parted the seams up the middle. They had the one lineman go down, 71. I'm sorry, I didn't get his name. He gets the huge pancake block and just opens it up. Gurley's gone. That's exactly what they needed. Big play there, get some momentum, get themselves back in the game. Now they need their defense to show up and get a stop.
5 plays, 75-yard drive for St. Louis, now up to 166 total yards, 79 on the ground, and it's Seattle 24, St. Louis 10, with 7:14 to go in the third from Missouri. And the Rams are fired up right now, and their crowd is too.
Yeah, you can hear the crowds going. The team's pumped up on the sidelines. They feel like they're back in it now. Now they're going to try to make a game of it.
Lockett got smacked down at the 21-yard line. He tried to do the old okey-doke spin on St. Louis from the first half, and the Rams say, we know better now.
Jimmy Graham got it started, and everybody's trying to be Jimmy Graham now, and it's not working out so well for him. So now we go back to Seattle. We got to see what they can do here. They can be able to keep going back to Lynch, and they can still go back to that 3 and 4 yards per play that they were doing early on.
Wilson is under center, ball in the left hash, just past the 20-yard line, back to pass, looking for a slant, pass caught just barely there. That's Baldwin on the reception, and he picks up 5.
I think that might have been Baldwin's first reception. I know he was second reception. He had 64 catches, 777 yards, and 5 touchdowns in the regular season. A big part of their offense. Now they're trying to work him in. They already got Curse involved. They've got Jimmy Graham involved, so now they're getting Baldwin involved. Matthews is involved early on. A lot of different ways that they can attack you. None of these guys really stand out outside of Graham as big players, but they got a lot of little guys that can make plays when they need to, and it's going to be hard for St. Louis to stop if they keep it that diverse.
Second down and 5. Rams have done a better job here over the past few minutes. Back to pass Wilson again. Wilson fires it down the field. That pass is caught there by Matthews, and that's a first down for Seattle. It's interesting they've come out here aggressive after St. Louis puts up 10 straight points on the board.
Yeah, and a lot of teams would probably go into a defensive shell and just kind of run the ball and try to take some time off the clock, grind it down. Seattle's saying, you know what? We're not going to sit back. We already got 10 points in a row on us. You cut our lead down. We're going to come back and attack you. It was working for us early on, especially throughout the second quarter. We're going to keep doing that, and we're going to put the pressure on you, make you stop us instead of us trying to convert.
6 minutes to go in the third. Let us know how we sound in the chat, fellas. We'd appreciate that as Wilson hands it off to Lynch for the first time in the second half. And Marshawn Lynch has some space, and Lynch says, "Get out of my way." First down to the St. Louis 43.
Well, I thought he was going to break that one. He was went for a little stiff arm, and I thought he was going to break it. Couldn't keep his feet up. Started running, and they finally took him down. But huge play there. Seattle just can't be stopped on offense right now.
Seattle to the St. Louis 43, 5.5 to go in the third, and the Rams desperately need a stop here to keep it a two-score game that they've fought so hard to get back to a two-score game. Kearse is out to the far right side. They're going to throw it. Wilson on the run to the right, fires. That pass is caught, and trying to break tackles at the 25-yard line is Luke Wilson. That's his first catch, and Russell Wilson, who's not been much of a running threat this year, surprise, surprise, threw a much better pass there on the run.
Well, we talked about that earlier. He does have the capability of running and throwing well on the run. He had one earlier, didn't really work out for him, but that's a part of the offense that they can go to and they can utilize, and that's another way that they can keep Seattle or St. Louis off balance.
Seattle or St. Louis, I had it right the first time, needs a major stop as Marshawn Lynch bounces off a tackle and picks up 4. Now 14 carries, 71 yards on the night for Marshawn Lynch.
Well, he wound up only down at 3.6 yards per carry at the end of the first half. He started off really good. We're like, oh, this is not the Marshawn we saw, but then St. Louis kind of started to stuff him. But now he's coming out here in the second half, and he's kind of like a rejuvenated person. He's breaking tackles. He's fighting for yards. That's not something that St. Louis wants to see.
Again, St. Louis has had a knack for stopping Seattle when it matters on that first long drive. They're going to try to do that here again on this one, but Marshawn Lynch just keeps on trucking. That's a 4-yard gain, third down and short for Seattle, which basically opens up anything you want to do.
It is. They've gone to Lynch here a couple times in this situation. This is kind of a big play here for the St. Louis defense. If they can get a stop and force a field goal after the way they've been kind of driving, it's got to fire up the defense a little bit, get the offense maybe fired up to try to answer with the touchdown, only go down by 10. We'll see what they're able to do here. Big stand here for St. Louis potentially.
Going out of the shotgun here on 3rd down and 2. Rams need something powerful here with 3 minutes to go in the third, and Marshawn Lynch is not going to get anywhere. Nice stop by the Rams. They had 3 in the backfield immediately, a 2-yard loss. Fairley and company there, and once again St. Louis able to get a half stop when it matters.
They do, and that's, you don't necessarily want to keep allowing those drives all the way down the field, but if you can bend but don't break, stop them, just hold them to the field goal, you got an opportunity. Well, the fortunate part is you're still down 17. The Seattle defense is not one that gives up a lot of big plays very often, so ideally you'd like to stop them, not let them put any points on the board, but you still got to be happy with just the field goal.
You know these teams better than I. Seattle looks clearly on top of their game tonight.
They do, and they haven't all season. They're 11-5. They've kind of had some ups and downs. I think they were 2-2 over the last 4. So they haven't been super consistent, but they're fired up and they came out to play today.
Gibbons is that return man. That's his 3rd straight return now for St. Louis, and I'm really surprised with the way that Lockett looked like he was going to start breaking some of these out. Austin, I'm sorry. It's surprising that he's just gone silent here.
Yeah, I don't understand what the strategy is. They're taking him out because he was the one guy early on that looked like the threat. Even though on special teams.
Foles back to pass against a blitz. That's picked up, but the pass nearly taken away, but also could have been taken for a big gain as well. Chancellor on the coverage.
I thought he actually came up with it and the seas parted and he was going to have nothing but green. But Seattle comes away, knocks it down in 2nd and 10.
You're watching the PX1 playoffs here on twitch.tv, twitch.tv/PX1 Sports. Second game of our doubleheader is coming up. Todd Gurley in the open field. Todd Gurley gets outside past the 50 down to the 45-yard line. 102 yards for Gurley now, and the Rams back in business.
Gurley couldn't do anything in the first half, and now all of a sudden he's kind of got the fire lit under him. He had that big run, the 70-yard run or whatever it was earlier in the half, and now looks like he's kind of locked in, and that's what St. Louis is going to need. If they can get a touchdown here, get Gurley going, this is a whole different ball game as we head into the 4th.
3 carries for 3 yards to start. Now 5 carries for 99 yards since. Play action pass here from Foles, and he's got a man breathing down his neck. A perfect pass, and that is Bailey again, and that's another first down to the 27-yard line. And I keep thinking Austin's out there, the little speedster, but Bailey is totally taking all the credit tonight.
Well, they played together at West Virginia. They complemented each other. They were the 2 big play receivers. They both wind up on the Rams, and for some reason Austin's not out there, but Bailey's the one taking over, and he's kind of leading everything for him.
And Bailey really has had a good game tonight. St. Louis is right in the thick of things. They have woken up after falling behind 24-0. Hand off to Gurley. He's got a huge hole up the middle, and Gurley gets down to the 11-yard line. That's a 16-yard gain, and my goodness, I think Marshawn dropped some Skittles. I think Gurley picks them up.
Well, I think you got to give credit to the St. Louis offensive line. You have to really be impressed with the way they're blocking. They're creating huge holes and they're sealing off their blocks, and Gurley's having a lot of room to operate. I think right now I could probably run through those holes. I don't know if I would get quite as far, but I think I could run through them. The St. Louis offensive line is doing really good right now at neutralizing the Seattle defense.
Gurley is the lone man in the backfield, and 7 in the box for Seattle. They drop off into coverage, and the pass over the middle is incomplete. And you know, they drop back. You've got to just accept that pass is not going to be open. We've seen Foles throw that incompletion a number of times in this game.
Well, I don't think they're being diverse enough in their offense. You know, they're kind of running, you know, the corner routes or that little out route, or they're running a slant. You know, I'd like to see them mix in some curls and some ins and outs, kind of diversify the way they're going, because right now, outside of the couple out routes, the in routes kind of seem the same thing. It's the slant routes, and they're jumping all over those.
2nd down and 10, St. Louis. They are on the move, trying to score 17 of the last 20 points in this ball game on a counter. Handoff Gurley, one man to beat. Nice tackle there by Earl Thomas. He has just been bonkers tonight. 3rd down and 5.
He's all over the place. I would have liked to see Gurley try to put a move on him. It was almost like he was like, "Oh, here comes Earl Thomas. I'm not even going to try." And he kind of went down. He let him tackle. Let's a spin move, a juke move, something. Try to put a move on him. See if you can break it and get in the end zone.
End of the 3rd quarter, Seattle 27, St. Louis 10 here on PX1 Sports. So coming up, we just want to keep everyone informed. Jets at Titans, 12-4, 8-8. The Titans are going to try to pull the shocker like Seattle is pulling tonight, a mini shocker. And the Jets are hot, 6 of 7.
Most people expect the Jets are going to win this game with the better record, but Tennessee did beat them. 24-11 early on. I don't think we're going to see the same game coming up in that one. I think it's going to be Jets are going to be more fired up in this one, but should be a good game. Hope everyone sticks around for it.
3rd and 5, Foles back to pass, looking over the middle. That pass is caught. Did he get the first down? I don't think he did. He got 5 yards. It's going to be 4th and inches, and what do you do
you
here?
You have to go for it. I don't think there's a question. You have to go for it. You got to try to get the touchdown. Go down by 10. Your defense is playing pretty well. Looks like they are going to go for it. So you have to convert it, but I think you have to go for it.
Especially with the way Seattle's moving the ball. They may never get the ball back.
That's true. That could very well happen.
This is huge. Out of the eye. They need inches. Foles pointing out the blitzer. Handoff Gurley. Gurley got it on the touchdown, and St. Louis is down by 11.
Well, that's kind of interesting. A lot of people there would go with the fullback dive. They might go with the quarterback sneak. They're like, you know what? Gurley's on fire. My line's blocking right now. I'm going to hand it to the big boy, let him power it through. He does. 15 touchdowns in the regular season. He's got 2 now tonight. Gurley's on fire, and this game is not over yet.
I thought there for a minute that Seattle's tail end of the defense was going to catch up to him and stop him there, but Gurley just too fast.
I think Earl Thomas got walled off. That's the only explanation for that touchdown.
And they brought up the graphic. Only 3 tackles tonight, but it just doesn't seem like that.
Seems like he's had 13.
Lockett 5 yards deep. A little move in the end zone to get out to the 20. So that was not impressive, and it's 1st down for the Seahawks.
Well, the funny thing about that is I think he was playing really safe. Me and Woodsmall played in the Super Bowl last year in the league, and I had a situation where I was running at the end of a half, and I was trying to make a big play, and I fumbled the ball. And I wonder if I couldn't help but think while he was running that back, that he was just like, just play it safe, don't turn the ball over. That's really funny that played out that way.
So Russell Wilson is under center now. Baldwin out to the left side, and Wilson's going to drop back to pass. Nobody's open. Fires, and it's picked off at the 30, and it's Laurinaitis again. He's got a sack and a pick, and the Rams are in business.
That's another guy that I don't know if we look at his stat sheet if he's got a ton of tackles, but it seems like he's been around with big plays when he needs to. Almost had an interception earlier in the game. He comes up with a huge interception there. We were just talking about St. Louis not out of the game. The chat room was kind of talking about that. Look, these guys aren't out of it. Even though it looked bad, all they needed was an interception. They got one. Completely different ball game now. 9:09
to go in the 4th. Make sure, people, that you're tweeting it out and telling everyone we got a close playoff game on our hands because the Rams are on the comeback trail. Gurley on the left side, and Foles is out of the shotgun with Bailey in the slot. Back to pass. Foles dumps it over to Gurley. That's his first catch of the night, and Gurley picks up 9 yards to the 21.
Hey, he's on fire. Why not keep feeding the beast until they show that they're going to stop him? And it's kind of like in basketball, they call it heat check. right? You get somebody that's shooting really well, lights out, you keep going to them until they prove that they can't do it anymore. Kind of got to do the same thing here. Gurley's your horse. He's showing that to you, that he's trying to put you on his back and carry you. Keep giving it to him.
St. Louis now more total yards than Seattle, 251 to 237. Still down 10, but driving. Foles back to pass. Nobody's open. Got to get rid of it, and his pass is caught at the 10. That's Cook for a 1st and goal, St. Louis.
Well, we were worried about Foles early on. He tried to force that pass, and he threw that interception to Earl Thomas. He didn't look real solid with some of his decision-making. Completely rebounded now. It looks like he's actually playing better than Wilson. Gurley's playing better than Lynch. This is a completely different game than we saw through the first 2 quarters.
He could not have thrown that any better,
No,
too.
that was perfectly placed, for
very,
sure.
very small window there. Now down to the 10-yard line, and the safeties are creeping up for Seattle. The handoff goes to Gurley. Gurley got away from 1 and gets to the 5. Again, Seattle sort of shows that they're going to finally get that push, but another great block on the line, and Gurley just picks up an easy 5.
The offensive line is dominating the Seattle defensive line and linebackers right now. I don't know if you would have expected that going in. And it's not like they had a lot of long drives and they've been wearing down the defense. They just all of a sudden just said, you know what? The hell with you guys. We're going to dominate this. We're playing at home. We're playing in front of our fans. You guys get out of our way. We're coming back. And they got themselves right back in this game, and they're, 5 yards away from a touchdown right now.
7:19 to go in the 4th. It's hard to believe this game was 24-0. And going back to that interception, it looked like Wilson was looking for Baldwin on the outside, and he just didn't have anything. And Gurley's got a lot of something in the second half. It's 27-23. Hashtag comeback. Hashtag I'm exhausted already.
Well, something about when we do games together, there's something crazy happens. This is just 24-0 at the half. Well, 24-0, then it was 24-3 at the half. They only got the field goal. They weren't able to get the touchdown. You kind of had to wonder, even though they got that field goal, what was going on. And, man, the second half has been a completely different ball game. St. Louis has got a fire lit under them, and I think Seattle feels like they're against the ropes right now.
Lockett from 2 yards deep up to the 15 to the, didn't even get to the 20-yard line, and Tyler Lockett's been completely shut down. This is beautiful special teams by St. Louis.
Well, St. Louis in real life has really good special teams. We've seen a lot of big plays last year. They had a lot of crazy stuff. I think that speaks to their depth at some of the players that they've got, and they're able to get down there and make plays, and they're bottling up Seattle. Now it's up to Seattle. Seattle cannot have a quick 3-and-out here. They have to try to move the ball and take some time off the clock and get some momentum back.
Johnson's in and takes the toss, and Johnson's out past the 25, and he's got a first down to the 30. And you sort of can tell by that play call that they needed something there from Johnson to just give him a change of pace.
Yeah, and I talked to Woodsmall earlier, and this is one of the things we talked about. He has Chris Johnson, hasn't used him a lot, but see him in a few packages. He picked the spot to bring him out. He gets the first down. It was a good call.
6.5 to go. Seattle's up by just 3 now as St. Louis tries to complete a phenomenal comeback, but Marshawn Lynch picks up another 6 yards. He's up to 79, and St. Louis, they're sort of in a position where, we can't have them go 6 minutes. We sort of need the ball back here, defense.
Well, but they're only down 3, so if they can they can hold them to at least the field goal and get the ball back with around 2 minutes left, they're in good shape. One thing I don't know if you noticed on that, Fairley made the tackle, and it looked like he got in there and he was trying to rip that ball out. Marshawn held on to it. That's one thing. Why is this defense going to start trying to make plays, rip the ball out? Could a big turnover be coming?
2nd down and 4. Everybody up on the line for the St. Louis defense. Back to pass. Wilson throws it over the middle of the field. Broken tackle. Baldwin still running to the 46-yard line. That's where the weight room pays off. Wilson now 12 of 15.
They're definitely going to have to hold on to the football. I don't know if they were trying to rip it out again there, but they weren't just trying to get them down. They were trying to hold them up, maybe get some help. Seattle's got to make sure they hold on to the ball here because St. Louis, they're giving up some yards here, but they're fighting after that ball, and they want to get this game back. It'll be a huge comeback. It's kind of fun to watch.
Graham has been really quiet. Lynch takes another carry. Lynch high-stepping for a few yards, and Lynch is trying desperately, but St. Louis's run defense does look much improved.
He's still got like a 10-liter engine. He just doesn't have a whole lot of tread left on the tires, I think. The engine's trying to go and the wheels are just spinning. He's trying real hard. He can't break it. I don't think he's got much left. But they forced him to stop, 2nd and 7. St. Louis has got to do something now, because now we're getting to that situation where we don't want to keep letting them go. If you could force him to punt here, that would be a huge turn for you.
4.5 to go in the ball game. Wilson throws over the middle and a beautiful knockaway. Was that Usain Bolt out there for a split second? Nope. Laurinaitis just doing what he does.
Laurinaitis is, I've liked that guy ever since at Ohio State, and I think I'm falling in love with him in this game. This is amazing. This guy is just all over the place. A little robo linebacker there, but he's fired up. He's ready. He wants this team to go. The fans are fired up. I'm fired. This is great. Going to be a great ending to this game.
3rd down and 7. He's got some Energizer batteries there in his back seat as Wilson drops back to pass. Looking, surveying, fires, and fighting for the first down. Got it to the St. Louis 45-yard line. That it's Curse. Oh, they marked him short. And you got to challenge that.
Oh, I think they had us call it forward progress, because he was stood up. He was still fighting. I mean, he fell forward for the first. I think they had to have called forward progress.
That's a shame.
Stop.
That's a real shame for Seattle. It's just not going their way right now.
That's a huge stop for St. Louis's defense.
And this punt is a beauty. It's going to be out of bounds at the 4, so Seattle doesn't get the first down, in my opinion, very unfairly. But at least they push St. Louis back, and St. Louis is going to have a perfect drive to at least tie this up.
Well, it's a long drive, but this comes back to something we talked about before the game, and I told you, Woodsmall is one of those people. If you give him too much time, he can put together a drive, especially for a field goal. St. Louis is going to have to either leave a lot of time on it, or they're going to have to get a touchdown.
So on a counter handoff to Gurley, and Gurley picks up just 4. You could tell that Seattle was waiting on that a bit, but Gurley's averaging 10 yards a carry right now.
Well, it's all in the second half. I think he had like 10 yards in the first half. He's got 120 in the second half. It's been crazy the way he's broke out here in the second half.
275, 272 in yards, 27-24 on the scoreboard. You can't ask for much more out of our first wild card playoff game here on live Twitch TV. That pass is, caught a 3-yard gain, and the receiver there really quick bailed Foles out on that one.
He did. I did not like that. The coverage was way too tight on that one. I appreciate him trying to, mix it up, go with some different things there, but that was dangerous there. That could have easily been an interception as much as it was a complete pass, but they got away with it. Got a short 3rd and 3 here. Big play for both sides right now, St. Louis and Seattle.
3rd down and 3. Seattle loads the box, 8, and they're going to hand it off to Gurley regardless. And look at the line doing its job, and Gurley's still on his feet to the 17-yard line. If it ain't broke, Mike,
don't fix it.
You were a little late, but I'll give you a pass.
Well, I was waiting to see if you were going to finish it. A lot of people would panic there and go with a pass play, right? And they're like, you know what? The line's blocking well. Gurley's running well. Let's just hand it to him, get the first down, and keep trucking.
Foles is out of the shotgun, back to pass, and he's in trouble. He lost the ball, and it's picked up by the Rams. A huge save by St. Louis, a loss of 8 yards, and that'll likely tick us down to the 2-minute warning.
Well, we talked about this earlier on with the San Diego-Cincinnati game. Something in the playoff water? You get down late in the game, and all of a sudden the ball starts squirting all over the place. You don't know what's going to happen. Fortunately, St. Louis was able to keep the ball and come up with it. The unfortunate part is now it's 2nd and 18. They were doing a really good job of moving the ball, picking up yards, and moving it down the field. Now they're going to have to start trying to force it down the field a little bit. That hasn't been where they've been really successful in this game. That could be a pivotal play in how this game unfolds.
On your own 9 as well. There's not a lot you can do without taking the risk of a safety here. Out of the shotgun, back to pass. Foles is standing in his end zone, and that pass is caught. Nice route there, a gain of 8 yards, and that was Britt on the catch.
I don't know if I like the hurry up here, but I do like the curl. Just pick up half of the first down and try to go with it.
3rd down and 10, 1:45 to go in the ball game. Foles back to pass, looking around, in trouble, and Foles is sacked, and it's 4th down now, and you got to go. It's playoff time.
Well, and I think you do. You still have your 3 timeouts, so theoretically you could punt it here. I don't know if you can do that though. That's why I didn't like that hurry up there. Take your timeout if you need to. Get a good play and make sure you get the first down.
Oh, and St. Louis is burning a timeout here to go over their offensive play call here on 4th down, and now if you don't get it, you're pretty much sunk.
I mean, it's a hard situation. If you punt it, you have to get a stop, and if you don't, the game's over. but it's also 4th and 15. That's not an easy thing to complete. St. Louis or Seattle's going to know what you're trying to do. You're going to try to. They're going to be defending 15 yards deep. So, I mean, it's a difficult situation, one that I don't think any of us want to be in, and there's really probably not a right call.
Here's why we've all been watching. 4th down and 15 with 1:28 to go for St. Louis, who's trying to complete an epic comeback here in the wild card round. Back to pass Foles. He's running out of time. Throws a deep ball. One-on-one coverage, and the pass is intercepted, and that is a turnover to Seattle. And that is Kerry Williams with the INT, and the Seahawks have all but wrapped it up.
Well, Williams has been all over in this game. He's had some really tight coverage. I don't know why that's the matchup he keeps going for. I know Sherman's on the other side, but Williams has played very well. They still have an opportunity here with 2 timeouts, but it is all but over.
Lynch takes the handoff and picks up a solid 6. Rams will burn their first tackle made by Ayers. And or their second rather. 1 timeout left now for the Rams, and Seattle's over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah, it was kind of an anticlimactic finish to what we saw. It was so much energy had been built up and momentum going for St. Louis, and then the fumble and then the sack, it just completely changed. But that's the Seattle defense, I mean, they're opportunistic, and it was kind of surprising that they got back into it. It was fun for a while, but it looks like it's probably over.
2nd and 4, last gasp here. Lynch does not get it. Timeout, St. Louis. It's going to be 3rd down and 2. Well, it looks like they're not going to take the timeout here, and they're going to see what happens here on this 3rd down.
Well, I mean, it's
either way.
Half a dozen of 6 and 1, half
right.
a dozen another. I mean, they're probably going to run it here again anyway. So, why not wait and take the timeout? Either way, you got to get the stop. So it doesn't matter, and they're going to run it out. So we'll take it down, and then we'll see what happens. St. Louis got to come up with a big play here. I think everybody's going to think it's going to Lynch.
The interesting thing here is they're just on the edge of field goal range. If they don't get it, Lynch takes the handoff. He did not get it! Blown up in the backfield by T.J. McDonald of St. Louis. It's 4th and 1 at the 32. It's a 49-yarder, but you give the ball back to St. Louis.
Yeah, they have no timeouts. They're only going to have 30 seconds left and probably be down 6. But the game's not over. The game's anything can happen. Now, as we saw on the last drive, St. Louis isn't great when they have to pick up big chunks of yards, but you never know. The game's not over yet. It's a long field goal. They could, well, maybe they block it. Who knows?
Well, we're about to find out. From 49 yards on the left hash, the field goal for Seattle was straight down the middle and good, but it gives St. Louis one more opportunity with 34 seconds to go. Oh, it was anticlimactic. Well,
much like what happens in the SFL, as soon as I say something, they
right.
prove me wrong. But here is Tavon Austin back there. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's what I would want to see too, and that is Austin back there at the goal line. We'll try to get some magic out of those quick feet of his as he cuts it back, but again, good coverage there for the Seahawks down at the 25.
What would you have done if he took that to the house to take the lead?
Would
you have had a heart attack?
This chair would probably be broken right now.
Well, in that case, since it's my chair, I'm glad he didn't take it back.
if anyone's not heard last second call of the SFL, then you would have known what I would have done. 1st and 10, 30 seconds left. Foles back against the wall. Pass is a little late getting out there, and it's incomplete.
Yeah, I'm not really crazy about that play call.
He would have been in if he would have caught it.
Yeah, he's not even out of bounds. It's a slow developing play. I think if you're going to throw out routes, you got to throw quick ones. You got to get quick ones. That one's kind of like you're trying to deceive the defense kind of thing. It took way too much time to develop. You got to work something with the deep out that's going to be 10, 12 yards down the field, pick up first downs, get the timeout, or stop the clock and move the ball down the field. Fortunately, it wasn't a pick, and I think actually fortunately they didn't complete it in bounds.
So Foles is out of the gun with Gurley to his left. Gurley was such a beast in the second half. They need Foles now. Pump fake going deep, and again, Foles threw it out of bounds. He's done that twice tonight.
Well, that was Austin. They finally got Austin in the game. They had a good matchup there. He has the speed. He outran him. That's a touchdown if he throws that in bounds. Good play. I was kind of worried at first. I'm like, what is he doing? But he found the matchup there, and Austin separated, but Foles he doesn't have that accuracy deep down the field.
So now 3rd and 10, 20 seconds to go. St. Louis hasn't moved the ball at all. I think if you're the Rams now, no matter what you do, you cannot complete a play inbounds.
No, you absolutely cannot. I don't think there's. You can maybe get one more play off if you complete it in bounds. So you got to try to get something, out of bounds in a first down.
3rd and 10, Seattle backs off as Foles has 7 on the play clock, still making adjustments. Out of the gun to throw. 3-man rush. Foles throws to the outside. That pass is caught. Oh, he didn't get out of bounds. And we're down to 14 seconds to go. They got to hurry up at the 38. This is the ball game right here.
Every game we do.
I can't believe that he didn't get out of bounds. Foles back to pass, looking deep, and fires it deep into double coverage. And that pass is caught at the 16, but he's out of time. And Seattle advances to the demise of Jeff Fisher's face. And Seattle is going on 30-24 over the Rams.
Wow. Guys, young players out there, young coaches, quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, when you have less than a minute left, 30 seconds left, and you have no get out of bounds. Don't fight for that extra yard. Dive out of bounds. Throw the ball out of bounds. Dude, get out of bounds. This is the 3rd time we saw it once in the SFL. We've seen it with Georgia fans, Titans, in our first game that we did. Got to get out of bounds there and give yourself a shot. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that. Huge one-handed catch at the end of the game. Unfortunately, they had no timeouts, and it meant nothing. But, wow, I mean, that was a crazy ending. I mean, as crazy as that ending was, kind of unfortunate, you have to give St. Louis credit for the way they fought back.
Right.
It was
look at what they won in the stat count.
Yeah, they wound up dominating the stats. The 2 takeaways I think was wound up being key. The one by Earl Thomas was the big one that we talked about in the first half that really kind of shifted the momentum. But it was a great game overall. I mean, it was exciting. Who would have thought it? At the first. But what's going on? We'll switch over to this one. This game's coming up next. Georgia fan and C. Norris are coming up. Sorry about the black screen there. I don't know what happened. Hopefully nobody froze out there. But stay tuned for you guys. I know we got some people in here. That was a great finish to that game. We've been picking up viewers as we go. Hopefully the next game's going to be as great. I know Georgia fan was in here. C. Norris was on his way. Great game. You guys stick around. We're going to take a short break, get those guys set up, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
And get us some water.
Get us some water. Get us some more people watching. That was amazing. Get on Twitter. Tweet your friends. Tweet your family. Give them phone calls. Get them out here. Let's watch this game. Let's get fired up.
Seahawks with the victory.